React, also known as React.js or React.js, is a free open source front-end JavaScript framework, or kind of. Actually, React is a JavaScript library that is declarative, efficient, and flexible for building user interfaces. It lets you compose complex UIs for small and isolated pieces of code called components. Now, these components can reach from navigations to titles, headers, pieces of small content, pieces of large content, cells, and more. It was created and mainly maintained by Meta, formerly known as Facebook, and also the community and individual developers and companies. React can be used as a base for the development of single-page, mobile, or server-rendered applications with frameworks like Next.js. However, React is only concerned with state management and rendering the state of the DOM, so creating a React application usually requires the use of additional libraries for routing as well as certain client-side functionality. So how does React work? React functions by using multiple tools, like for example, React believes in declarative programming paradigm. This means that you will design views for each state of the application and React updates them by rendering each component when the data changes. The React code is made of entities called components. These components are reusable and must be formatted in the src folder following the Pascal case and its naming convention, which is capitalized camel case. Components can be rendered to a particular element of the DOM using the React DOM library. When rendering a component, one can pass the value between components for so-called props. React also heavily relies on JSX. And so what is JSX? Well, JSX is a syntax extension for JavaScript that allows you to describe your UI in a familiar HTML-like syntax. The nice thing about JSX is that apart from following the free JSX rules, you don't need to learn any new symbols or syntax outside of the HTML and JavaScript syntaxes that you already know. But also please note that the browser does not understand JSX out of the box, so you will need a JavaScript compiler such as Babel to transform your JSX code into regular JavaScript. So how can you run React? Now, in order to demonstrate everything that we just learned, let us create a very quick React application. For this, you will need to open up any kind of code editor. I will use Visual Studio Code for this example. Let's quickly create a HTML file, index.html. Let's launch up a boilerplate. In the body, let's add a div with the ID of app. Underneath of this, I'm going to add a h1 and call it what is React. Next, let's add a script tag, script, and I'm also going to give this a type of text/JavaScript. Within the tag, I'm going to select the app ID using a variable with const. Next, I'm going to create a h1. Next up, let's select the app ID. By using a variable with const, let's call this app and select from the document the app ID. Next up, let's create a header by again using const, then document.createElement and create an h1 element. So basically, we can now use DOM manipulation to add some text to the header by creating another const, call it header content, and create a text node to it and add to the text my first React app. We're going to append to the header content by using append child method, and then append the header to the app using the append child method again and appending the head to the app. Now let's also open this up in a browser using live server, and from here we should see our new app with two h1s, one being my first React app and the other one being what is React. Now I'm going to put them side by side so you can see the changes as they update. So if I would change my title to I love React, then this will update in the browser. Also, if I comment out everything that I have in my script file, then this would disappear. Now let's take a look at the DOM element using the inspect and inspect elements tool. Now if we take a look in our body, we'll see our h1, and if we take a look in our div with the ID of app, we'll see our other h1 with I love React app. The DOM of the page is different from the source code, or in other words, the original HTML file you just created. This is because the HTML represents the initial page content, where the DOM represents the updated content which was changed by the JavaScript code that we just wrote. Now, updating the DOM with plain And vanilla JavaScript is very powerful but also needs a lot of work. We have written all this code only to create a simple H1. Okay, now let's get started with React. To use React in your browser, you can load 2 React scripts from the external website called onpkg.com. Now we need to copy in these 2 links, which the first one will be for React and the next one will be for React DOM, because React uses the virtual DOM. So let's copy them in right after our H1 using script tags. So script tag, source, and this right here will be the source. Obviously the entire code is down in the description below as always, so just go ahead and download it. Now I'm going to comment out this part. Now let's go back to our application. We will see that only our initial H1 will remain. Let's add another script tag. This time I'm going to give this the type of text/JSX, because as I said, React is written in JSX. Now again, we need to grab on to the app ID, so I'm going to use const app document get element by ID and grab onto the app. And now instead of creating all of this code, I'm just going to type in React DOM.render. And within here, I'm going to tell it to render a H1, comma, in the app variable. And now if we hit save, we will see absolutely nothing. Because as I said previously, JSX is not automatically recognized by browsers. So what we need to do now is copy in another script, which is the script from Babel. So just copy it in above the title. And now you should see your app up and running, because JSX was now converted to regular JavaScript. And this is how React works. So, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you have any kind of questions or suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. As always, my name is Norbert, and for more JavaScript and React content, stay subscribed to my YouTube channel. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.